and we will get rolling. Welcome, everybody. This is Kurt Shaver with the Sales Foundry. Today, we're going to be talking about effective inbound marketing techniques using LinkedIn. So let's go ahead and get started here. The first thing I want to tell everybody is this is hot news, hot off the presses. I just saw this morning. There's a report that 6.5 million LinkedIn passwords were compromised. And so after this webinar, you're going to want to go in and change your LinkedIn password. So since everybody's here to learn about LinkedIn and obviously has a LinkedIn account, I wanted to make sure everybody knew about that news of the day. All right, let's keep marching forward. So, usually when I talk about LinkedIn, obviously being a salesperson background and running a company called the Sales Foundry, usually I'm talking about it from the perspective of finding prospects, partners, and suppliers. That's all the proactive things. We've covered that a couple of months ago in a webinar when we talked about prospecting, right? But this time we're going to talk about the other side of the coin with LinkedIn, and that's the little thought balloon down here at the bottom, where we're talking about helping buyers find you on LinkedIn. So what can you post and present and information can you serve up that's going to help your people looking for your products or services find you? So that's the perspective we're going to be talking about today. So this is how I want people to think about it as we approach the webinar. Don't think of LinkedIn like your online resume, right? If you're on here to talk about marketing and selling with LinkedIn, then we're not going to be thinking about LinkedIn as the online resume. We want to be thinking about LinkedIn as our advertisement, right? So here's a painting of Times Square, and if you've ever been there, you know there's more than a few signs there. And so as we're building both our individual profile on LinkedIn and our company page, which we're going to be talking about today, you want to be thinking of this, of how do I market myself? How do I advertise myself? How do I put the right information out there to attract people to find me? Wouldn't that be great if my inbox was just full up or my telephone just rang off the hook from inbound inquiries? So that's the whole perspective for this particular call. So again, as a reminder, in terms of if you've got any questions, so we've got everybody on mute here because it just gets crazy otherwise. And so if you've got questions, then in the control panel of your LinkedIn control box there, you can actually type questions down in that area. And again, this is a pretty fast moving webinar with it being just 30 minutes, but from time to time, I'll take a glance at that and see if there's anything that we have time to actually address. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to actually start with a poll. What I want to do is I want to get a feel for who we've got on the line here. That'll help us tailor it a little bit. So I'm going to start out just by asking, what's your interest today, right? Are you a salesperson? You're looking for selling tips. Are you in sales management looking for ways that your team can use LinkedIn? Are you in marketing and you're looking for ways to promote the product? Or are you in other? So we'll take a couple votes there and we'll see who all we've got on the line. And I'll share this with you. So just voting now, clicking on one of those poll questions. Let us know who you are. And we've got most of the group, so I'm going to go ahead and close that and then share it with everybody. So you can see here, then we've got a split with a little over a third in sales, a third in marketing, a few in sales management, a few in other. Okay, so that's great. Let's keep rolling on so we know what we've got. And that makes sense. We've got obviously a larger percentage probably of marketing people than I do on a lot of my sales-oriented calls because, hey, this one's about marketing. So let's keep going. So this slide, we're going to talk about who can you market to on LinkedIn? Who can you market to? Well, the first big circle is anybody that's got internet access, right? Because LinkedIn is found by people not just on LinkedIn itself, but by searching for things on Google. And LinkedIn, in fact, has such a high level of what the experts call Google juice that in most instances, if you go in and search for your own name, probably your LinkedIn profile is the very first thing that shows up there because of the high rankings, again, of LinkedIn. So you can you can market to anybody on the internet. And then obviously the next subset, a smaller group, would be the LinkedIn members, which still isn't bad, right? 160 million people and growing. Then you can get into your network. When I say your network, I'm talking about your level 1, 2, and 3 connections, plus members of any groups that you're in. So that's what LinkedIn calls your network. And just to put it in order of context, so in my case, I have about 900 level 1 connections, which is about 350,000 level 2s and about 14 million level 3s. And you add in everybody off the groups, and it's pushing about 15 million. So that's a pretty big network in my case. And even if you just have a couple hundred, you're still probably talking about millions in your overall network. Then the next subgroup would actually be groups themselves, LinkedIn groups that you're joined into. Then you have your level 1 connections. These are the folks in your LinkedIn address book that you have directly connected to. And then finally, there's subsets of those connections that you can market to. So those are the people. And again, as you put together your strategy of what message do I want to send to who, this is the who part of it. So the next piece is, okay, what's the message? Well, what can you market on LinkedIn? So these are some of the ideas. The first thing, which LinkedIn is great for, is to market yourself as a subject matter expert, right? You might be an expert in, large hospitality food services, or cloud networking, or data storage, or textile manufacturing, whatever your subject matter expertise happens to be in. LinkedIn is a fantastic place for you to display that, and that really tends to draw people in. You can also just work it a little bit more from a branding standpoint. We're going to talk specifically about like events, whether virtual or actual events that you can market on this. And there's also areas where you can literally have specific promotions on LinkedIn. So all of these things, all these types of messages are available to market on LinkedIn. So I do want to put this warning up for everybody, though, that you do have to be conscious about not crossing that line of blatant promotion on LinkedIn, because it really does go across the LinkedIn etiquette. This is probably you're probably most at danger of this when you go into a LinkedIn group in the discussions area. Some groups and some group managers are very strict about self-promotional information that goes in the discussions versus just legitimate educational discussions that go in there. And some of them will eliminate it and not post it, and some of them will kick you out. So the best word of advice here is to listen for a little bit if you're going to join a group, and look at it, and you'll kind of get a sense for what goes or what doesn't, or you can always ask the manager of the group. All right, with that then, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be looking at 6 or 7 different techniques here of how you can promote yourself on LinkedIn. And the very first thing we're going to talk about is your standard profile. So if we look at some of the profile information here, these are some of the things that jump out at people. Again, like those signs on Times Square, these are the things I want to point out. Certainly the business photo and the headline, and we've talked about this before. The headline, I just want to point out to everybody, that is not your title, right? That is a headline. So you want to use up as many of those 120 characters as you are allowed to put something that's going to grab people's attention, and put something that is going to be outcome-oriented, outcome from the perspective of the user who's looking at it, because you want people to look at that and click on it. Understand that in most search results and other displays within LinkedIn, when you show up on LinkedIn, the only thing that shows up is your picture, your name, and that headline. So you want that headline to be a grabber. And the other thing you want to be a grabber is down here where it says websites, 3 grabber web links. There's 2 takeaways here. The first is you can put 3 web links on your LinkedIn profile. So I recommend that everybody find 3 things to link to on the web. And the other is, just like in the headline, you want those to be attention grabbing, not just the default common things of my company or my blog and things like that. So we're going to show you guys how to do that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pop over into my profile. Let me just pull up my profile full screen, right? And the way we would do it, so here you can see I've got my 3 different grabbers here. And the way you would edit those is you just come up to your edit profile section. And when you come down here to say I want to edit it, this is one of the little tricks about LinkedIn. You see this middle column where I have my custom information written? Okay, until you've selected this drop down of other all the way at the bottom, until you've selected that, this middle custom field does not show up. And so that is what I wanted you guys to realize. You have to come into the edit where it says websites. It gives you 3 choices. And these are all the defaults: personal, company, blog, portfolio. So when you pick other, this field magically pops up and you can write something catchy in there. So I want everybody, when we finish this up and you change your password, go in and put some catchy things in there for your web links. So again, here are just some suggestions of things you want to put in there. You're trying to make it attention grabbing and something that's going to click on, right? Lower your telecom rates, hear what others are saying. The last one's almost a joke, right? Be thinner, richer, taller, click. Who doesn't want that? So you can think of those for yourself. So that's really the number 1 thing we're going to talk about is the profile. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about are applications. So applications are, in some cases, these are actually provided by LinkedIn itself. In some cases, these are third-party applications. When they're third-party applications, many of them are free, and many of them operate on the freemium model where you can get limited functionality for free, but there's always an upgraded version. And then some of them are actually paid for. But this is the list that you'll see when you go into the LinkedIn applications area, and I'll show you how to get to there in a minute. But let's just look at what some of these do. So the first one is document sharing. This is a great tool. I use it a lot. It's basically Box.net is similar. Some of you might be familiar with Dropbox. They're really the similar tools, similar services. The difference, though, Box.net has a plugin for LinkedIn, so it allows you to serve up any kind of Word docs, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, really any digital file that you want, and you can serve that up through your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to jump back over to my LinkedIn profile and show you how that looks. So if we come over here, I'm going to come out of the view and out of edit and just back into view. So we can see here that as somebody was scrolling along, you can see I've got it right up here at the top, and I'm going to recommend to everybody that they put their application at the top. You can drag them up to the top. So you can see here, so this is the Box.net application. You can see I've got about 12 different files in there. I've got PDFs, and also in this case, I've got JPEGs where I've made a slide and made it very big so that I've got something a little more eye-catching. And if I click on any particular one, I can come in here and I can scroll through some of these different elements and find out what's going on. So again, it's just a great way to serve up information, and it's a little attention grabbing right there underneath your main profile application, so people don't have to scroll too far for it. And the really cool thing about it is Box.net sends you an update every time somebody downloads something. So I get 10 to 20 people a week that are downloading white papers, PDFs, case studies, ROI trackers, things like that off my website. So again, it's free. You have to sign up for a free Box.net account. You load some things up there, and then you just plug it into LinkedIn. A great way for you to deliver information from your LinkedIn profile and hence market yourself. Here's another one. You can have presentations on LinkedIn. Those presentations, there's actually 3 different presentation type tools that plug into LinkedIn. And here you'll see them. There's Google Presentations, SlideShare, which LinkedIn just purchased. So you can probably bet that integration is going to be pretty tight in the near future. And another one called Behance, which is particularly good if your business is a very visual business. You're in graphic design or other types of things. So again, let me just show you an example of this, a good example in somebody else's profile. I'm going to come back to a different profile. And I'm going to look at a friend of mine, Jeff Hazlett. So Jeff Hazlett is a speaker and best-selling business author. And we can see here, if we come and we scroll down on his profile a little bit, we can see that through SlideShare, he actually has a video because he had appeared on The Apprentice. And so that's obviously pretty good PR to have Donald Trump introducing you in an episode of The Apprentice. This is when Jeff was the CMO of Kodak, and the apprentices were actually doing a project for Kodak. So again, very valuable to have a clip like this right there on your LinkedIn profile. And again, you can do that. So if you've got video clips, a great way to do it. So those are presentations. Again, another great way to do it. And if I I'll jump back and I'm going to jump back to mine. So I've got a number of SlideShare things. And again, here you can see different PowerPoints that people can come in and click on. So that's a great way. And again, if you upgrade to the paid version of the SlideShare, you can do all this with the free version, but if you upgrade to the paid version of SlideShare, you can also use it as true lead generation by asking people to submit their email to download your valuable information. And then your LinkedIn website becomes a legitimate lead generation capture tool. So to do that, though, you do need the paid version of SlideShare. Okay, let's go on. The next one is events, and events are great ways that you can put information up here, again, about virtual events or private events. So if you're doing that type of thing, I really encourage people to plug in and use the LinkedIn events. This is what it's going to look like. If we come back up here and I come up to the events section, up here it'll tell me events that my network is going to, events that are in the areas that I'm interested in. Over here, it's showing me my events. So example, this webinar that you're on right now, right? Some of you are probably up here as indicating that you are attending, and this is all the information that helped drive traffic to the webinar. So events are a great way that you can use to promote yourself. Then the next one is, again, this is just another plugin. If you're doing a blog or someone in your company does a blog that's general for the company and could apply, you can plug that right into your LinkedIn profile. So if I come back and I look at my profile, I do write a blog, and it is right there, again, in my profile. So as we come down here, you can see the last 3 blog entries that I wrote. Again, I've already created the information. Why not serve it up? LinkedIn profile is a great way to do it. We've got a reading list by Amazon, which is a really nice way to give some people a little bit more insight into your personal interest, what you like to read, and you can also find out about others. And that's one of the simplest ones to actually implement and just plug in books that you're reading. And then the last one we're going to talk about are polls. Just to mention it, you can use LinkedIn as like the world's greatest free polling device, because you can go into a particular group or to all of LinkedIn. You can really zero it into a particular demographic and ask them a particular question and get feedback on it. So this is a great free market research polling tool to find out information. Okay, so we looked at a handful of applications. There's probably about 20 other ones, but I do want to ask everybody at this point, just as the ones that you guys have seen, I want to get kind of a quick poll of which applications appealed to you. So this is a multiple choice. You can click all of the ones that would be interested to you. So which ones do you think you might be able to use to help promote your business? Just get a feel for what was attractive to people. All right, I'm going to go ahead. It looks like we got most of the people voted. I'll go ahead and close that and share the results for you guys. It looks like the top winner was presentations. Again, if you're making any kind of PowerPoints or things like that, it's a great, you may as well repurpose it and serve it up through your LinkedIn profile. Box and events had a split, and polls next in reading list. Okay, so let's hide that and we'll keep rolling on. I want to talk about updates and comments. Updates and comments. Again, that's the section that's really going to appear on your home page. Let me just get back here to the home page. So if I come into my LinkedIn homepage, what I'm talking about now is either coming in and updating something right here, right? Or I might just say, I am giving a webinar now on marketing with LinkedIn. So I could put this information right there just in terms of an update, or I could come down and look at updates of people I'm connected to and possibly make comments down here in these particular areas, right? So all of those things are going to increase visibility as they spread out to the viral connected network within LinkedIn. The next thing we're going to talk about is groups, and groups are really good for 3 things, but in this instance, we're going to talk about using group discussions and promotions. And again, it's a little bit similar to what we did in the update section. But again, if we just come over into groups, probably most people are used to that. If I came up into a particular group, let's just say I want to look at the sales and marketing executives, I can come up here And likewise, I can start particular discussions about how are companies using LinkedIn for sales, or how are corporate marketing departments using LinkedIn web pages. And then I'll get people that'll come in here and just comment and post on it, and we'll start a threaded discussion. So if I came and looked at this area, for example, and I just wanted to search on any particular information that was being talked about in this group, I could say, hey, is anybody talking about LinkedIn? And I would find all the discussions about LinkedIn. And then I just jump in and answer whatever ones I want. How do you feel about using LinkedIn for prospecting, right? 5 days ago. Here's a couple people posted. Note, they don't have their pictures. So that's one, again, you're demonstrating your expertise, and that's through group discussions. And that's also very similar to doing questions and answers. Questions and answers is another forum where you can start threads. The difference between questions and answers and group discussions on LinkedIn is that questions and answers go across all of LinkedIn. They're not segmented to a particular interest group as groups would be. Okay, now I want to get down to company page as the second to last thing we're going to talk about, because there's a lot of great stuff on company pages. And I want everybody to kind of make sure we were oriented correctly when we talk about LinkedIn company pages. All we've been talking about so far and what everybody's used to on LinkedIn is their personal profile, right? That is your website, your profile as an individual human being. But a little over a year ago, LinkedIn introduced a new thing, which is for the company. And so the company now has company pages. And the company pages are have some very valuable function to it, which I think someday could make these even more valuable than your company website. So let's go over and take a look at it, and you'll kind of get a feel for what some of the things are. So if I jump back over into LinkedIn, I'm going to come up into the company page for the Sales Foundry. So this is my business. Now realize, in the case of the company page, just like for the company website, this is typically going to be managed by the marketing department. This is somebody that's trained and authorized to speak on behalf of the company, and they're representing the company communication needs just as they would on the company website. So you'll need to find out where that is. But a lot of the functionality here duplicates what you can see on a website, and they've gotten much more flexible. And the area I really want to focus on is this area called products and services. So if we click over into products and services, you can see one of the elements is we can put some more graphical treatment in here than was usual for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is often been called the boring social media site, right? It's so template driven. We can put a few things in here, but this is where the real power comes in, gang. So you can see here I have my various services listed. I do keynote and breakout speaking. I do on-demand LinkedIn training. I do corporate sales training for sales teams, and I do private LinkedIn coaching. Here is where the value comes in. Not only am I just sending the information out like I could on a web page, but people can come in here and recommend it. And when they do, it's not only captured here like anybody can see it on the internet, but guess what? Everybody in their network gets this blast that David King just recommended me, Matt Melser just recommended me, Bill Alexander just recommended me. So if these people have thousands and thousands of people in their network, I'm getting a huge viral effect by not only the very powerful testimonial of a third-party reference like this, but it's going out to everybody in their networks as well. So that's really, really very powerful. Then the last thing I'll mention here on company pages is company pages are very sophisticated in the sense that they allow segmented marketing. So for all you marketers on the line, segmented marketing obviously allows you to segment your group based on the criteria. So if you think about it, when you're on LinkedIn, LinkedIn knows what's your industry, what's your title, what's your company size, what's your location. It knows a lot of things because you've told it about yourself. So that means I can have different views of my LinkedIn company page based on that criteria. I could have a different view for small business than I do for big business, or I could have a different view on the East Coast than I do on the West Coast, or I could have a different view for viewers in the pharmaceutical business than I did for viewers in the automotive business. So it's a really sophisticated way to basically have a chameleon website that adjusts to whoever's looking at it based on their LinkedIn criteria. And you can do the same thing with updates that you send to people. So as you send updates out of your LinkedIn company page, just like you might do it on your mail list, you can segment those based on all that different criteria. So everybody does, it's not a broadcast mechanism. You can fine tune it and just do narrow rifle shots. So that's very powerful from a marketing segmentation standpoint. Okay, last thing that we're going to wrap up here is we're going to talk about LinkedIn ads. And for the LinkedIn ads, I'm going to ask my friend and my marketing consultant, Aidan Crawford of Short Circuit Media, to talk a little bit about LinkedIn ads. And again, this one is different because the first 6 that you looked at is basically all free stuff that you can do within the LinkedIn standard system. And obviously LinkedIn ads is a paid service, but Aidan, let me turn it over to you here. We just got a couple minutes before we want to wrap up, but talk to everybody about LinkedIn ads.
Great. Well, LinkedIn is one of the big 3 for businesses. Thanks, Kurt. Just to start off with a broad generalization, that everyone, just about everybody uses Google. Most people are on Facebook, and professionals are increasingly using LinkedIn. The big differences are that in Google, it's more geographic and keyword driven and demographic driven. On Facebook, it's personal likes, interests, and geography that you can set your ads to. And as Kurt said earlier, you basically tell LinkedIn everything about your professional life, so you can actually target really, really specifically. An example is on Facebook, I like Doctor Who, so I get a lot of ads showing up on my profile, trying to sell me stuff on related to that. But on LinkedIn, people can actually find out what I do and market to me on a professional level. So if we can just switch the slide up, the next slide.
Yeah, there we go.
And this is just an example, a quick example of what you'll see when you go to a LinkedIn, when you are setting your LinkedIn ads up. There's 2 kinds. You can go with the marketing solutions. You'd have to have a budget of $25,000. I don't have that kind of budget, so I generally go with the plain old ads. But even then, you can target by geography and industry. One of the most powerful things I've come across lately is actually marketing to LinkedIn groups, where there's the people that are engaged on LinkedIn. There's people that have their profiles on LinkedIn, and then there's the people that are really engaged. And the way to reach them is actually target the people that have joined all the groups. So you can find, if you want to talk to CEOs that are in the healthcare industry, you can find them, and they all have their profiles on LinkedIn. But then even further, you can go and find groups that they would be likely to be in, and you can get that number down to a very easily manageable amount of people, and then market directly to them, so they're the people that see your ads. It really is a very powerful way to market to people that are at a site for business and for networking, as opposed to people that are, yes, the CEOs are on Facebook, but are they looking at the pictures of their grandkids? Are they interested in your product at that stage?
Hey, Aidan, I heard you just mention it, but it sort of slipped by me. So are you saying that the example that we're looking at here for all this segmenting power is the thing we're looking at for the 25 and up solution, or is this the?
No. This is the basic run-of-the-mill solution that anybody can really set their budget and then find these people.
I like that targeting LinkedIn groups piece. That's really powerful. I didn't know you could do that. That's great.
Yeah, I only noticed that a few weeks back, so I think they just added that functionality recently.
Man, I'm telling you what, I spend 50 hours a week on LinkedIn, and I can't even keep up with it. They are changing stuff so fast in terms of functionality that you just always got to kind of keep looking at it. And so I applaud everybody for taking the half hour to invest a little bit in their LinkedIn knowledge. So let me wrap it up. I'm going to keep going with just a couple of the resources that are available to you guys, and then we're actually going to give away some training to some people that did the social selling experiment for us. So I will send everybody my next newsletter, so you can get that. It's got sales tips, LinkedIn selling tips, and various social selling resources and information on it. Again, it's a easy opt out if you don't want to get the information, but take a look at it. You'll get that next month. And then I've also got a YouTube channel, and one of the things I also do is I have LinkedIn scoring. If you're just an individual, you can do a self-assessment score. It takes about 3 minutes, answering 10 questions on my website. But if you are a sales manager with a sales team of more than 20 people, then contact me about a free customized report on your sales team's LinkedIn usage. And here's 2 other options. Again, on the corporate side of it, if we're doing training there, a lot of times that's involving benchmarking of where your team is now, and we can mix that up between live and virtual and do customized training. But for anyone individuals or just anyone with a sales team, I do offer on-demand training that you can either stream over the internet or download to a portable device like this fellow looking at it on his iPad on a plane. I just wanted to let you know that it's a 7-module course. There's 7 30-minute video modules on there. It's going to cover really everything you need to do to get up to an advanced level on LinkedIn. And those are available. I sell those on the website for $149. But when you guys get the follow-up email with the link to the recording of this webinar, we are going to include a code in there so you can save $50 if you want to do the on-demand self-paced training. So look for that email from me later this week with a special code to save $50. And one person isn't going to need to do that because they actually won the on-demand training course. One of the things that we started this session was a social media experiment where people could submit the names of 3 of their friends that might be interested in this webinar. And so we had a number of people that did that, and our winner is somebody with the initials of VD. So we will be sending you a separate email with the login to that $149 on-demand training course. And again, we'd already mentioned that, and everybody else can find the information at thesalesfoundry.com. And I'll end up with just one more thing. We're talking about what elements are we going to cover in future webinars. And I've put a couple ideas up there that people have asked for. And so if you want to just vote on what you would like to find out about on LinkedIn for upcoming webinars, then we'll try and schedule that into the calendar. So after you've voted, you are cut loose to go out there and start linking into more business. This has been Kurt Shaver with the Sales Foundry. I want to thank everybody for attending. I'll give it 10 more seconds on votes, share the results with you, and then we will be done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll go ahead and close the results, share it with you. Looks like people want to know about groups, corporate strategies, pages, and secrets. Tied for third. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next month.